Welcome to the webinar. Please stand by. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting.
All right. Good morning, traders. Happy Friday. Congratulations. You made it to another end of the week. Welcome out to the Tradespoon Live Trading Room Stocks and Options Opening Bell Friday edition. My name is Scott. I will be your host. Hello, John. Good to see you. Good morning, LK. Good morning, Faust. Good morning to you, Mark. Mark says, good morning, Scott and all. Thank you. My name is Scott. As it says on the slides, I'm the head trading coach. Happy to be here with you. Can you believe that we're in the second half of May? I feel like we just started this year and it's May. My daughter is graduating high school next week. We're in commencement ceremonies. I feel old. My baby graduating. I'm preparing to be an empty, Bill says you are old. I'm preparing to be an empty nester. I figure I'm going to get a hobby or two and drink more wine. I don't know. That's on the plan. That's on the docket. Martin. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Welcome. Glad to have you. Thank you for introducing yourself. Much appreciated. Let's get into it. Trading for a while, teaching for a while. That's me. Here are the disclosures. Be careful. Trading can be risky. Have a plan, stick to the plan, manage your risk, manage your emotions, etc., etc., etc. All right. Let's get into it. If I could close my slides down. There we go. So, I'll tell you what. It turned bullish. I said if it gives the lower high, I'm going to close some of my hedge. If it takes out the low, I'm going to close the rest. Both happened. I said there's likely to be some trades. There are. I mean, we have bullish trades. We have bullish setups. I think my market posture. So my market posture, right? LK said, "What happened to sell in May and go away?" We seem to be bucking the trend here, don't we? I agree. I mean, we convincingly broke the resistance on the S&P. We've got more today. I mean, the S&P is up 0.32, the Dow about a quarter, the NASDAQ 0.15, Russell 0.37, oil 2% higher, smashing a bit higher today. That's about it. Bank of America says markets underestimate the Fed's next move. Markets are looking for an abrupt reversal in rate hikes. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't see why anyone would expect that. I think they're going to leave it where it is until inflation. So once they've stopped, and we're not even sure they've stopped. What is my number? My number is a 175, which was up slightly from the week before, but had dropped. So for me, it dropped a little bit. When we got that VIX spike, it was enough to kind of rattle the cage a little, right? But at this point, I would imagine that I pop back up to a 3. We broke out to the upside. We broke down on the VIX. I'm seeing consumer discretionary show up more on the sector side of things. So quite honestly, I wouldn't be at all surprised if I jump back up into like a 3 level when I go through my assessment this weekend. Don't let your guard down. Amen. Right? I'm always still got those hedge ideas developing. Stock futures rise amid debt limit confidence, which in and of itself is a bit concerning. If you go 2 articles down, GOP hardliners could try to block debt deal without robust cuts. So there's always that, and I said both sides come with the ability where they're like, I'm not going to budge, blah, 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 giving press conferences. I mean, you have to budge. You have to get the debt ceiling raised. But everybody takes advantage of the opportunity to try to squeeze it for something for them. Of course, it's how politicians work. It's how they work. What else? Foot Locker plunges after slashing sales and profit forecasts. That's interesting. So I was saying, hey, it looks like retail, well, not retail, consumer discretionary, which includes retail, but also includes travel and leisure. It's very leisurely. Foot Locker. They were expecting 78. They got 70, and they lowered their guidance. Oh, my God. This thing is falling off the charts. Foot Locker is set to open down here. You're like, down where? Down here. Somewhere around that range. So yeah, that doesn't bode well, right? That's not great for representation of retail or earnings. Concerning, right? Concerning. Let me get back. What else is happening? Walmart earnings, home sales data, Disney, today's top headlines. Yeah, that's really about it. I'm not seeing a lot. Good morning, Scott. Even with all the craziness, don't the charts trump the craziness? The market is now overvalued. So isn't it overextended and should come down? See, for me, no. I mean, when you say something's overvalued, then you would have to switch yourself into a fundamental perspective. Fundamentals are what provide valuation, right? So for something to be overvalued, we would first have to look at what the standard for valuation is. RSI is at 77. Now, if you have an oscillator, even then, an oscillator at 77 certainly is overbought, but you have to look at what's the timeline of the oscillator. If I look at an oscillator on a weekly chart versus oscillator on a daily chart versus an oscillator on an hourly chart, they're going to tell me different things. if I look at a 7-day RSI, a 14-day RSI, and a 28-day RSI, they're going to tell me different things. So it's a matter of each person has to so that's why I standardize my assessment of the market. Am I bullish, am I bearish, or am I neutral? That's based on momentum. That's based on looking at a weekly chart for context, a daily chart for assessment. I look at volume, I look at major market, I look at sector rotation, I look at the VIX, and that provides me with where am I now versus where have I been and what direction do I seem to be going. And that's what I'm going to trade off of. Now, does that mean that's what's right? That means what's right for me. Someone else might look at something longer term or shorter term, and they're going to come to a different conclusion. They're going to use different indicators. They're going to use different, potential setups and or triggers. So, that's the hard thing right off the bat is, we have to create our own standardized perspective. Standard is craziness. That's fact. That's a fact. Yeah, that's about it. Let's look at the economic calendar. We'll look at the forecast toolbox. Today is just some Fed speak. We've got our chairman, Jerbear Powell, and former chairman, Bernanke. I've got to say I was not a Bernanke fan. I felt like I missed. I feel like Bernanke's the one who really came in with this, need for transparency that Greenspan never had. I don't care if you know what we're doing or not. Greenspan played it close to the chest. Which made sense, right? I don't like that we are so much just constantly asking ourselves, well, what do we think the Fed's going to do next? And then we try to, base our information on that. Okay. It's a beautiful day, and I had my window open, and all of a sudden it smelled like a fire, like someone's burning a fire at 7:30 in the morning. What the hell is that about? Next week, it's light in the first bit. Nothing Monday, minimal Tuesday. We have FOMC minutes Wednesday, but we all have a pretty good sense of expectations there. Thursday, it gets a little better, GDP and jobless claims. Friday's big. You can see Friday's got sentiment. Friday's got some inventories. Friday's got some inflationary data with the PCE index. Friday's got spending and income. Right, there's a lot. So as we watch, there's not much between now and then. Here's the model's predictions. Let's see. SPY. So you can see the SPY overall says neutral. That's what it says here on the range trend indicator. But my final assessment's always going to be made down here when I look at the patterns. And I still see this as very similar to my own personal view on the market, which is bullish, neutral to bullish. And it's saying we might have this pullback, but if we do, I would only expect it to be a couple of days, new higher low, and then another bullish trade up. If I still think that this here could fall in here and give us a little bit more, then a pullback, then the next move. So yeah, it would just kind of shift everything a bit higher. I would say that leans more bullish than not. It would tell me if I'm in some bullish trades that I want to be a bit careful, right? I want to be a bit careful. Maybe as I think about whether or not I'm going to carry trades through the weekend, this might help me say, you know what, I am going to go ahead and sell half, right? I might sell half of a trade, tighten up the stop, and then see what happens next. The way I manage the trade into the weekend is certainly going to be relevant to what I see the market doing. Let's look at the other broad markets. Here's how much time do we have? Oh, the market's already open. I didn't hear the bell. I'm like, no, were we opening soon? I didn't even hear the bell. Let's go take a look. There's Foot Locker. It opened down at 30. It's trying to recover. It's got a lot of recovery to do. That's a nasty one. Here's the SPY. You can see we clearly broke on good volume, and we're still pushing higher still. So yeah, I would say most definitely you should have more like underground locker. Good one, Victor. I like it. Yeah, there's some good bullish moves that we've been looking at, stocks that we've been watching. We'll see here in just a second. If we look at the VIX real quickly, you'll see the signals that I was talking about. It was a bit of a whipsaw for sure. But okay, so I hedged half a hedge here, and then I put a secondary hedge on in here. I got one decent day, and then the next day it came down, and that became a lower high to that. So my higher low became a lower high a day later. And some people are like, oh, well, it's just a day. It doesn't matter. If it's a day or a week, it's a lower high. So I shut some down. Then if it breaks the low, I shut whatever is remaining. It was just a half. Well, it wasn't great. The hedging wasn't great. Didn't work. Does that mean I'm going to stop hedging? No. It means I'm going to continue to hedge, and that's about it. Okay. Sorry, the lack of I think my speakers are turned down. I need that bell so I know what time it is and what I'm doing. Here is QQQ. QQQ has still bullish, minor pullback, but still bullish. I see, Carmen. For me, I'm not really in a camp of market coming down much. Maybe a minor consolidation, right? I'm not in any kind of a scenario where I'm feeling bearish. That's just me. Vlad feels more bearish than I do. He's looking for a hard landing. And when we see things like Home Depot and Foot Locker, it's like, yeah, it could be. Then we see Walmart, and we're like, well, Walmart was good. Target was okay. Yeah, it's interesting right now. Okay, let's keep going. No, let's keep going here. That's QQQ. Let's go IWM. Sideways on the IWM. Not QQQ. DIA. Let's get you. DIA, a little bit negative. So yeah, okay. Nothing too bad. Let's see. Let's go back in here. Oh, There's the sell in May and go away, but we seem to be breaking out of that. So I don't know. The correlation's at 83% for this year. So it's highly correlated to what it typically is. But today is not what we would be expecting based on that. Let's get into the watch list. Personal top bulls. Okay, Alcoa. Watching it, but not really, focused on trading it. Just keeping an eye on it. Looks okay. Apple, up 0.5%. I would still expect another day or two, right? Or at least I'd be looking for another day or two. We've only got really 2 days coming out of this, but you can see things are starting to stall out. Chip stocks. If I'm in a chip stock, which I am, I'm very likely going to be thinking, okay, you know what? This thing, at least half is coming off, maybe more. At least half, maybe more. Amazon, I didn't end up getting it. I was thinking about it. I didn't. Same kind of a thing. You can see that, at least as of early in the day today, we're seeing some concerns. We'll see what happens as we get later in the day. Yeah, we'll see if it holds on or if it continues to drop. All right. Let's keep going. The LDR maybe getting ready to start consolidating. So we definitely had that bullish move, right? We had that bullish move. The question is, what comes next? CMG just getting started again. COP. Oil is getting a bit of a pop. We can see that. Let's keep going. Costco. So Costco was one that I was thinking about, and it's an interesting one because it's giving us what we want from the stochastics, which is turning. But here, I'm not going to trade. It's not engulfing, but it's definitely a dark cloud cover, right? That's certainly something that is concerning. Yeah, I don't know. That's a judgment call based on where it ends up at the end of the day. DBC, nothing there. Let me get rid of this. DIA, no. Disney, no. Okay, so here's a quick assessment question. Who is carrying bullish trades with them through the weekend? Costco needs to marinate. Agreed. John said yes, carrying, but it makes sense. I mean, today may reduce the number of bullish trades, right? There may be some profit taking later this afternoon. Yeah, there's questions, there's concerns. Okay, let's keep going. FXI. I mean, honestly, if you're willing to trade the Chinese stocks, you might see yourself a setup in there. GE, that's one that we talked about. Bob, I think, has a trade on GE. Gave a signal back in here out of this consolidation. Well, it's still grinding its way higher. Great. Carrying some bullish trades through the weekend, swing trades. It makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Okay. Gold. Gold does not look good. You can see it broke its lows. Google, man, it's on fire. Google gave us, not much of an opportunity, just real sideways. And then it just kind of broke. That's it. It was off to the races. Right? Off to the races. IWM. For me, IWM seems to have broken out of its consolidation range. So if IWM pulls back in, 174, 175, there may be a trade there, and it may be adding to the bullishness of, what's going on. Jets, same thing. Broke the consolidation, maybe stalling, willing to trade the pullback, though. That's definitely something that I'm looking at. Willing to trade the pullback. Okay. MasterCard. So, MasterCard gave a signal. It's 2 days in and it's starting to fall apart, right? And there's really not much you could do with that. Yeah, there's really not much at all we can do with that. That's why I think, if you're in bullish trades, you're probably thinking about how you're going to wind them down. And then all of a sudden I get this and I think, oh, look at McDonald's. Nice. We were strong, had a consolidation. It looks like it's turning. For me, that's valid. That's a valid setup. That's a valid trigger as long as it holds up. Let's see what Stella thinks about that. So, like I said, some trades you're probably looking to shut down. And other trades you're probably like, oh, look at this. Let's see McDonald's. Mickey D's. Okay. So as we look at that, the model does not. The model does not agree. Still looking for it to grind down. I'm on the fence with that one. I think it looks good. Meta. I'm in Meta. It finally made a nice little pop here these last 3 days. I'm definitely looking to take most, if not all of that before the weekend at this point. Okay, let's keep looking. Marvell, that's not my chip trade still. But any of these chip trades, if you're in a chip trade, give me a Y in the chat so I know. Just Y for yes if you have a chip trade on now. Mine's not Marvell, mine's Nvidia. We'll get there in a second. Microsoft, that's another one that I took and I'm in. It's just, it's had a good start to it and it's kind of stalling out. That one I might sell half, take some profits, and then carry it through. Still looks pretty good. Netflix isn't doing much of anything. Okay, let's keep going. Nvidia, that was mine. That's the one I took from all of these. Okay, says yes. That's the trade right there coming out of that consolidation. We got 4 days. Now it's pausing. Same thing. Same thing as Meta. Very likely to take most, if not all, because it's good profit. It's there. It's in line with what I was looking for. So yeah, I'm looking for that. Bob says PLTR. John has 2. Al-Qaeda. Yeah, look, it makes sense. Taking profits makes sense. We're at Friday, right? We're Friday. We don't want to hold through the weekend just hoping something better happens, only to have it not happen. If you want to hope, sell half and hope on the other half. It's much easier. But doing nothing is when we tend to give back, and then we give back and we start to get frustrated, and then the frustration impacts the rest of what we're looking for. Nope on hope. Amen, John. Oracle. That was a tough one. We've been watching it, but I never really saw. I mean, I guess back here, you could have said, that's what I'm looking for, and then ridden it up. There's no way. I don't think I would have stayed with that. I would be too impatient along the way. However, and you can see these are kind of what would be maybe more staples. Look at Pepsi. Pepsi and McDonald's. Pepsi and McDonald's both look viable. Pulte Homes. Just getting started in its consolidation. There's nothing there for us yet. The Qs looks bullish, but looks overbought. So this is probably, when Carmen mentioned it, this is probably what she's looking at. It's overbought. It's moved up. Would we expect to see it consolidate? Probably. There's a lot of room for a consolidation. Is it still bullish? Yes. Everything is still bullish. It's coming off of new higher highs. So is there a chance that we move into a consolidation? Yes. Am I going to trade it down? No. No, other than if I get VIX, if I get hedging signals. If I get hedging signals, then yes, I'm going to add something. But as of right now, I don't have anything like that. I'm just sort of watching it like, okay, what's next? Starbucks, I don't know why I'm still watching it. I keep thinking maybe it'll do something. It hasn't. I mean, yeah, here's the thing. Technically, that's a little bit of a higher low. It went up, it came down, and it tried to turn. It's not enough. It's got to really figure some things out. Silver is down. Semiconductors is up and starting to stall. XPY staying bullish, but not by a lot. Here is the VIX, as we are really flirting with these old lows, and if we can get below that, even better still. XLF doesn't have anything for us. XLI doesn't have anything for us. XLP. And this is an interesting one, because I've been watching in the sectors, And I've noticed that consumers were both strong, both discretionary and non-discretionary or cyclical. But all of a sudden, you can see we had a lower high, and now we have a lower low, right? We couldn't get back to this high. We only got to here, and now we've busted down below all of this to a new low. What type of option trades are best for low VIX? Best for low VIX would be buying calls or puts because they're Vega positive. Potentially, you could even look at a straddle or a strangle because it's Vega positive. You could look at a calendar spread. That's my most favorite of all, is the calendar spread. And if you were looking for something more directionally oriented, you could look into the diagonal spread, which gives it a little bit more of a directional capacity. Those would be the ones that I would be most looking for. Now, you'll notice that's kind of breaking down, and then you look at XLY, and that's breaking up. So all of a sudden, my markets rally, showing more money going into discretionary spending, less money going into staples. That's bullish. That's growth oriented. That's what we like to see. So what's the plan? Manage what you're in. If it's bullish, manage it. Think about taking profit. Think about how much. Is it half? Is it 2/3? 1/3? Is it right? Think about what you're going to carry forward through the week and why. Think about the time decay. How close are you to expiration? Think about where the stop will be. You might even watch. Right? You might even watch just as it goes through the day to make a determination like that. The risk level shouldn't be high right now. If you have a bunch of risk on, the question you would ask yourself is, what made me want to put a bunch of risk on in this market? It's not that market. Everything we do should be very much related and focused on specific market conditions. And you know, that's one of the things that as we evaluate how we're executing day to day, week to week, that's what we want to assess. What did you think was going to happen this week versus what happened? How close were you? Now, based on what happened, how did you do? Did you trade it? Did you hesitate? Did you capitalize, etc.? Yeah, that's really where we're at. I still think, based on what I'm seeing here, that the market, I'm not going to just stay somewhat bullish. My bullishness is going to improve based on what we've seen happen during this week. The VIX is lower, the market's higher. Technology continues to lead strongly. We see communication services staying in position. We see consumer discretionary moving into a leadership position. I'm curious how sector rotation is going to look when we look at financials. I think financials is poised for recovery. Do I ever do straight stocks and hold? What do you think of long-term mutual funds, bonds? I don't like mutual funds. I will buy stock for the longer term. I'm just going to use a weekly chart. If I'm using Vlad's info to help, Tradespoon info to help, I'm going to use the 6-month projections. I have an investment portfolio that I manage in addition to my trading, and I would consider that to be investing more than trading. So I do like to keep those two distinct and differentiated. Or if I have an option, if I have a stock that doesn't have good options, but I think the trade looks great, I'll be like, yeah, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Why not? Why not? Okay, well, listen. I won't see you until Wednesday. So keep your eye on these things we're talking about. Keep your eye on the VIX. Keep your eye on your risk. Keep an eye on the day-to-day. Have your watch list ready to go. Not a lot of triggers today, but we did get a couple potentially with McDonald's and Pepsi. Those are consumer defensive, so they may now actually provide that non-correlated entry where we're not getting into everything in a 1 or 2 day window. Now it's like, oh well, our bullish things have been working and are starting to slow down, and a defensive thing is setting up. Great, put it on. It's less defensive than a hedge, but it does bring defensiveness to the portfolio. That's what McDonald's would bring. That's what Pepsi would bring. There's probably others in that vein that we're not watching that would do the same thing. So I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend. Expecting some nice weather here. I believe I have in-laws coming, but it's going to be okay. We'll get through it. I'm going to use you guys for soundboard therapy next week. When the in-laws have been here for a few days. But yes, it's good to see you guys. Keep an eye on your trading. Make sure you really have things under control. And I will just love them and feed them. There you go. And I will see you guys Wednesday afternoon. As always, happy trading.